Walking with the heat. Look around. Ooh, walk with. Oh, sorry about that. Catch a bad devil on the stage. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Buckles Locker. Coming to you again with your host Isaiah. Subscribe to the channel, like the channel, share all the videos, and don't forget to hit the notification bell icon to notify you all new videos that's posted on this channel. Shouts out to all the Pirates and Sea Bandits. Thank you for supporting this channel. Shouts out to everybody in the Bucs Nation across all platforms. Keep doing your thing. Keep supporting the team as we move forward in this season. We're past week 2. We're almost to week 3 because on this channel, we don't move on just yet. We like to talk about the victory for a couple days, talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, things that the Bucs can improve on. And they will. Think this is got 15 weeks. It's still early. Like I always say this, I've been saying this for the last couple years. You don't know what you got until about week 9, week 10. Right up in that time frame, you kind of figure out what type of team you're gonna have because everything is in phases. You got your first quarter, first 4 games, and then you got your next quarter, your second quarter of the season, which is next 4 games, and then you got your third quarter. That's where you peak at, right? You know what I'm saying? That's that third tier of games. That's that third part of the season. And then you got your last part, which is the last 5 games, which is your back end of your season. At that point, your team they are who they are. The last 5 games of the season, you pretty much got an idea, unless something drastic change. So that's how this games work. If you go back and look at previous seasons across the NFL, everybody's all up and down at the beginning of the season. Fan base is mad, fan base is happy, and I've seen this, and we've all seen it. We've all seen it. In a matter of a couple weeks, your team looked different. What you see now is what you're not going to see at the end as a whole. So let's enjoy ourselves. We did what we had to do as a fan base. We're going to keep supporting our team. Now, yesterday, I want to first of all, I want to say this before I go into a little mini recap. This is not going to be a long recap because right now the all 22 video for the Bucs and Saints game is still not available. It's available 24 to 48 hours after the game. So I'm checking it right now and it's still not available. So we will not be doing a recap all 22 for this game, most likely until tomorrow. It'll probably be available later on today, but as of right now, it's not available. Sorry, folks. Can't do all 22 right now, but I'll do a recap. And tomorrow, definitely, hopefully the all 22 will be available. And then we'll go into the details of a couple plays or a couple series or a couple plays of the game that kind of changed. And most of the talking points will be mostly centered around the fourth quarter because it was 3-3 going into the fourth. And because the first 3 quarters between both teams were ugly, there's a couple plays that I can probably scheme through or look at in between quarters 1 through 3. But a lot of the action happened in the fourth quarter. So I'm going to highlight some of those parts of the game, and we'll get into details. Also, I want to apologize for yesterday. My internet was acting really bad, and I was using my mobile hotspot on my phone. So that's why I kept popping in and popping out because my phone kept dropping out or my internet kept dropping. Every time I changed to the internet, it just wouldn't connect. Then I would use my mobile hotspot. It'll work. That's how everybody was still talking, but I wasn't in the chat room or I wasn't in the locker room. So that's why y'all didn't see me yesterday because I had technical difficulties. Everybody was just basically on the phone. Internet was all messed up. I got to get this solved on the AT&T side. Shame on you, AT&T. But anyway, but I'm back. It will not be an open locker room today. This is just to be strictly me. So I will not be, doing a locker room discussion. And we did that yesterday. And I will not be doing a all 22 today. So it's just all me. So you got to deal with me today, just me, because I need my time. I need my time because I didn't get a chance to really kind of like talk yesterday because I wanted to jump in yesterday with the locker room, but there was a lot of conversation going on, a lot of good points that was being made. And I appreciate all the guys that held it down when I wasn't in there because I kept popping in the locker room and popping out. So, all right. So here's some up-to-date news for those of you that haven't seen it yet. Mike Evans has been suspended for one game. He's been suspended for one game for conduct. What happened yesterday? If you guys saw the game, Mike Evans. They say he instigated it, but that's not how I seen it. I even looked at. I watched the game, the condensed version of the game, which they just chop up all the breaks and they condense the game. They get rid of the breaks and they chop the game up and make it shorter. So the instigation really came. It all started from a no call. That's where the instigation started. It was a no call on the pass interference that should have been a flag should have been thrown on Marshon Lattimore, but the refs, for some strange reason, they didn't throw the flag. So by that flag not being thrown, it caused a reaction on the sideline from Bruce Arians, by the way. Bruce Arians was on the sideline chirping to the refs about a call, and Marshon Lattimore heard it, and it was Bruce Arians and probably one of his lieutenants was chirping on the sideline. Marshon Lattimore reacted to it, talking about the ball was uncatchable. Marcus May was like, ball is uncatchable, and as they were chirping down the field, Tom Brady went all the way down the field in Lattimore's vicinity. It's funny how it all happened, right? Brady would just run off the side of the field. No, Brady was headed towards the referee to make his case about why you didn't throw the flag. And meanwhile, while he was doing that, Lattimore was chirping on the sideline with Arians and a lieutenant and somebody, a couple other guys on the sideline. And Marcus May was over there too. And Brady said something to the referee as he got in the vicinity of Marshon Lattimore, veteran move. I like how he played this too. He knew. Brady knew exactly what he's doing. It says something to Lattimore. Lattimore said something back. And then Leonard Fournette was right there, and Leonard Fournette heard what Lattimore said to Brady. And then Fournette pushed Lattimore. Now, at that point, Lattimore didn't do anything to nobody. But it was a slick move how Brady kind of like, I like how he did this because when you go back and watch it, it was really slick. It was almost like he knew Lattimore was going to react. He knew Lattimore was a hothead. It's like Brady kind of planted the seed, but it was like it all started with Arians in the sideline, and then Brady kind of planted the seed, and then Fournette kind of like, pushed Lattimore. And then Lattimore reacted to Fournette pushing him, and by pushing Fournette up on his chest, and Mike Evans really didn't see the whole thing, but Mike Evans reacted because he saw Lattimore talking to Leonard Fournette and Tom Brady, and then Mike Evans runs over there and shoves the hell out of Lattimore. Now he got him from the back, so that's what started. Then the whole brawl started, but the events leading up to that, I gotta say this. It was like, I wouldn't say it was orchestrated, but it was well played. Well played, Tom Brady. Well played, Leonard Fournette. Because if you notice, Leonard Fournette didn't get ejected. Right? And I think the reason why Lattimore got ejected because the reaction to Fournette. Because when Fournette pushed or like put his hands on Lattimore, pretty much reacted to what Fournette did. And then when Evans pushed Lattimore, Fournette kind of like fell back a little bit and kind of like trying to break it up a little bit. And then when Lattimore got up, he grabbed Mike Evans from the back and they fell on the ground. And then Marcus May, they got into it. And it was just a whole cluster. But when you look at the all condensed game, we'll see it on the all 22. It was kind of like orchestrated. So from a football perspective, I understand why Evans got ejected, because none of that would have happened if Evans would have never pushed Lattimore. Let's just get that clear. in the heat of the moment, emotions get high. And then if you listen to Mike Evans talk about the incident, he left some parts out that never happened. He was like, Lattimore did something, da da da. He didn't see the part where Fournette pushed Lattimore first, and then Lattimore reacted. So the combination of Mike Evans not liking Lattimore and Mike Evans defending his teammates, because he was, if you slow it down, he was talking to the refs like, "That's Tom Brady. What the do you want me to do?" And nothing really happened between Lattimore and Tom Brady. That was to me, that was more about Evans just wanted to take a shot at Lattimore. Look, it's just too much history, because you got to think about it. In a bigger picture, when you look at it from a bird's eye view, Evans didn't need to do that. Like, it was no need for that. I'm just telling you from what I seen, it wasn't no need to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because we see guys pushing and shoving all the time, but to react like that, that was Mike Evans letting the emotions of the moment get to him. Now, it did ignite a fire under the Bucs team, because the Bucs at that point, it was a struggle, right? So the longer that game went like that, the worse it was going to get, right? For both teams. So I can understand what Mike Evans was trying to do, light a fire, but the way he went about it, it was unnecessary. That the push was unnecessary. Look, I'm a Bucs fan all day, but that was unnecessary. Like, let's be real. Like, if you defend that push, come on, man. Like, so I understand, and it's funny, somebody mentioned this on Twitter. John Ryan is the conduct president of the conduct, whatever committee, whatever. And he suspended Mike Evans for one game. John Ryan's son plays for the Packers. And guess who's the part of the appeals committee? Derek Brooks, who played for the Bucs. So it's funny how if this appeal gets overturned and a fine, all Mike Evans gets a fine. So the Bucs and Packers situation already starting right now. It's already in play. So don't be surprised the Packers and Bucs game get a little chippy too, because the president of the conduct committee is John Ryan. And remember, I'm gonna repeat this: his son plays for the Packers, so he suspends Mike Evans. Oh, what a coincidence! And then Mike Evans' appeal, and the part of the appeal committee is Derek Brooks. The Packers and Bucs already starting it, because I got a funny feeling Derek Brooks gonna overturn John Ryan and say, you know what, that's unnecessary for a suspension. We'll just give him a fine. Don't be surprised. Just saying. And if it happens like that, the Bucs and Packers game gonna be extra chippy, because now, and people don't realize this, that was a rock'em sock'em game between the Bucs and the Saints, right? That was a rock'em sock'em game. Nobody wanted to budge, right? Both teams, it was like two titans going at it, right? And nobody wanted to budge until something happened. And to me, like I told y'all yesterday, it all started Mark Ingram fumble. I'm going to revert back to last year and compare that to the Jared Cook situation. Similar scenario. Saints had a momentum, driving down the field. You could feel it because when the Saints was running the ball on that drive, you can feel the Saints started to take control of the game. You can see the physicality started to wear its hair on the Bucs. And then when Mark Ingram got the ball, and it was a good run, but Logan Ryan, off-season pickup, veteran move, peanut punched the ball out of Mark Ingram. For the second straight week, Mark Ingram fumbled at a really bad time. I don't know what the Saints going to do with Mark Ingram, but I'm just saying, they need to come out of that game. But hey, we had injuries too. So ain't no excuses. But that moment, it didn't change the whole game, but it played a pivotal role on the outcome of the game. Because I got to admit, if the Saints score that, like I told y'all yesterday, they go up 10-3. And the Bucs were already struggling. So if the Saints score that touchdown, now this is hypothetically speaking, but I don't think the whole brawl don't happen, if that makes sense. The chain of events turned when the Bucs got that fumble. And at that point, the Bucs had to think about this for a second. We cannot let the Saints keep punking us. So if you look at after that fumble, the Bucs got more physical. It wasn't peak physicality, but it was like the Bucs had a new breath of fresh air, right? And then, like I told y'all, the second part of the chain of events is when two things the Saints did. Uh the personal foul call on Bradley Roby on Cameron Rate, hit a hit to the head. And then we'll see it on all 22. And then on special team, an uncharacteristic error on the Saints special teams. They had 12 men. They stopped the Bucs both times on the personal foul call on third down and the flag when the Bucs is about to punt. So that's 3 chain of events that happened. And then, of course, the fight. And then there's a couple other ones that was important too. With all that being said, that game overall, just from a football perspective, that was ugly. It was ugly. Both offenses was horrible. Both quarterbacks didn't play well. Winston played worse, right? And what's so crazy is when Brashard Perriman caught that touchdown and the Bucs went up 10-3, Winston panicked. And we'll see this on all 22 because if you go back and look at the condensed game, the Saints got the ball and they tried to do a shot play. That was the interception for Jamel Dean. When you go back and look at it, there was a check down. There was 2 check downs. And I don't think that play was called for a deep ball. I think Winston wanted to take a shot. And he was forcing the ball to Olave for some strange reason. And I'm going to give y'all this little insight. During training camp, Olave had the most targets out of all the receivers in training camp. I'm going to repeat. Olave and Winston had a connection. Olave had the most targets in training camp. So this game pretty much perpetuated what I saw in camp, or what was going on in camp. Yeah, he had a connection with Jarvis Landry, and I'll get to that in a second. But for some strange reason, this particular game, Olave had 13 targets. A rookie on a team with Mike Thomas and Jarvis Landry had 13 targets. I'm going to say that one more time. Olave had 13 targets. That's what you call trying to force the issue. Got out of character. Instead of spreading the ball around, taking your open receivers, he was forcing the ball to Olave. Bad. And it was all set up how the Bucs were defending Winston. Now, they have more insight about Winston than any team in the NFL, more than the Saints. So the Bucs had to be patient defensively. They had to be very, very patient. It took 4 quarters for them to get Winston where they wanted him at. They was like, well, when things get tight, especially against the Bucs, and the Bucs are banking on if we get up 6-3, 9-3, 10-3, and then now we can play a little more aggressive. We can blitz more because if you notice in the fourth quarter, he got sacked I think 3 or 4 times. He was got hit a lot. Let's just say that. And he had his turnovers in the fourth quarter when things got tight. This is where, let me go back a little bit to Mike Evans with the emotions. Now, on the flip side, Jameis Winston started playing with emotions. I want y'all to think about that. Look at the scenario I'm painting right here. Look at what I'm trying to tell y'all. when you play with emotions, you play out of control. If you play within the system, if you play with take what they give you. Mike Evans, and I'm gonna go back to Mike Evans real quick. Mike Evans, everything was fine, but the emotions can get a hold of you and have you doing things that you should not be doing. You can hurt your team. The difference between Evans and Winston, Evans, that was out of it. He always do it against the Saints. But see, Winston has a history of getting out of control, trying to do too much. That's why he started trying to push the ball down the field. And we'll see this on all 22. He had a couple checkdowns, and Mike Thomas was open more than y'all think he was. And y'all are seeing on all 22. But Winston was pushing the ball down the field. He had checkdowns right in front of him. He started playing with emotions because up until that point, he was playing okay. He wasn't playing great. Wasn't really doing much, but he wasn't hurting the team. But when he started hurting the team, that's when he was playing with, well, he started playing with emotions. That's when he started hurting the team, which played into our favor. Credit to Todd Bowles, Casey Rogers, and Larry Foote with the game plan. Keep things close, make it tight, and let's just see if he in that. This is what I'm saying. The Saints game and the Bucs game is a very emotional game. Why? Because for one, the Saints have been beating us for, multiple times. Two, then you got that Winston connection. So this game between the Bucs and Saints, out of all the games on the Bucs schedule, outside of the Rams, is an outlier. It's an anomaly because the Saints and the Rams are two teams that the Bucs got a particular drive or emotional approach to it, because those two teams have pretty much been a thorn in the Bucs side. I'm gonna go when we watch. So outside of the Saints twice and the Rams, watch how the Bucs play outside of those three games. Maybe the Chiefs, but outside of those three games, the Bucs don't do all that extra stuff. What they did in the Saints game, that was out of character. I'm gonna be real with y'all. Bucs don't play like that. Because that game meant more to the Bucs than pretty much any game on the schedule. Now, we do play them again later this season in Tampa. Most likely it's going to be the same type of game. Both teams going to hopefully be healthy. It's going to be another rock'em sock'em type game. Emotions going to flare up again because it was shots taken after the game. Devin White. And if you listen to what the Saints players were saying about what was going on during the game, they was like, who was that talking? Mike Thomas was talking about how the Bucs was playing and how they was acting and what Mike Evans did, and Mike Thomas, that's unnecessary, yada yada yada. So you could tell right now, the second game of the season, later this season, that game is going to be extra. And don't be surprised that same referee crew referees that game. Go listen to all those interviews from the Saints players and the Bucs players. This was more about football. It wasn't solely about football. This was some personal stuff. This was very personal because even Devin White said, why the Saints was beating us, I had to listen to all the fans in my comments on IG and Twitter, talk all this noise. And now he's saying, oh, cry me a river. And he has every right to say that. But then when you go back and listen to Mike Thomas and Cam Jordan and those other guys, Lattimore and Demario Davis, talk about the game, they're like, man, that's how we play. But what those guys was doing was extra and all this stuff like that. So I'm telling y'all right now, the second game going to be just as extra as the first game. Now, no telling how both teams are going to look come that time. But I'm telling you right now, if I was the NFL, if both teams are winning and both teams got over 500 records, they probably should flex that into a primetime game. And that'll be huge because the ratings was going to go up. The ratings for that game was high. So can you imagine the second time they play, and if both teams are over 500 and both teams are winning, and both teams are doing their thing, the NFL should flex that game. That'll probably be the biggest game of that week. Now, I don't know what the other games look like that week, but that week, if the both, like I said, they probably should flex that game because of how this game turned out. It's a ratings thing, folks. Oh, it's a Monday night. I'm not looking at the schedule right now. It's a Monday night game. So that's a prime time game. You know how the ratings gonna look? Extremely high. No matter what. This game is not just about football. This has personal clashes in between. So now you got bulletin board material. So the Bucs already had bulletin board material. So now the Saints got bulletin board material from Devin White about, and now the Saints going to try to protect their quarterback. The same way Mike Evans tried to protect Tom Brady, which I don't see what the protection was needed because it wasn't nothing like that. But I get what Mike Evans was coming from. But in all, that game was totally bad. Referees, offense, offensive coordinators, both head coaches playing very conservative. And in the end, the Bucs had to wait 4 quarters to turn up because you would think, why didn't the Bucs play like this in the first 3 quarters? Defense. Now, for short-term and long-term projection, the offense will get better. I was looking at some of the stats, and I know it's only week 2, and the picture is not even a third paint or finished. And I'm gonna say this again: how the Bucs look right now is not how they're gonna look later on in the season. Offensively, the Bucs can only get better. Don't let this game get you out of character. We know the Bucs offense gonna be fine. They got to get healthy and they got to get in sync. That takes time. Now, around about week 4, week 5, after they played the Packers and the Chiefs, and when the Atlanta game, that's another 3 straight home games, by the way, 3 straight home games. After the Atlanta game, you will start seeing a little more buffer in the offense. You'll start seeing the offense look more cleaner. And by week 9, week 10, before that bye, then you'll start, okay. But right now, folks, you got to be patient with the offense. Nobody's playing well. Injuries, and nobody's playing great. I saw the stats. Stats don't tell the whole story because you got to add context. You got to add context. But the one thing Bucs is doing that I like, so when the passing game get in shape, the Bucs are running the ball, even though it wasn't successful in this past game because of the Saints. And I told y'all this in pregame. Yes, the Falcons had 201 yards rushing, but you got to add context to that. And I told y'all that ain't gonna happen with the Saints because, the Bucs not gonna rush for 201 yards because they don't have that type of run offense. The Bucs only had like 72 yards rushing. So the Saints did their job. That's why I didn't read too much into that first week of the season. What you seen, what the Bucs did, the Bucs are trying to turn into a more physical team right in front of us. The first 2 games of the season, they rushed the ball over 30 times. When have you ever seen that? When have you ever seen the Bucs run the ball 30 plus times 2 straight games? That for right now, until the offense kind of get in sync passing wise, receivers and quarterback, tight ends, this is the formula. Run the ball, be physical, play defense. Everything else will catch up. And to be quite honest, I'm totally fine with the Bucs winning games like this because the Bucs can do it. Tom Brady not going to turn the ball over. He not going to make too much. He not going to make mistakes, really. He gonna keep you in the game, keep it close, play it smart. If you looked at the passing game against the Saints, it was literally get the ball out. And mind you, it was a couple plays that he had time to throw the ball, but Tom Brady was just so antsy to get rid of the ball. He threw the ball 34 times. They ran the ball 30 times. 31 times. Balanced attack. And I've been screaming this type of offense for a long time. It was 34 attempts, but if you break down the attempts, not a lot of them was long shots. You know, the typical Bruce Arians. No, he had a couple of the Brashard Perriman, the Scotty Miller one, and it was a couple other ones. But out of the 34 attempts, I can't count more than 10 of those attempts that it was a hut, and the Saints couldn't even get to him. The Saints did play more coverage. Now, I don't know if more teams are going to do this, but the Saints have their secondary to play coverage and rush only 4 or 3, and they did that a lot. They did not want to blitz Brady. They didn't want to blitz Brady. They played coverage, but not all teams can do that. Some teams got to blitz because they don't have the secondary. I told y'all the Saints are one of the few teams that can play with the Bucs. Some of you didn't want to believe me. Yesterday's game was a prime example. I seen it. People was frustrated with the offense. No, you got to give credit to the Saints defense. I told y'all this. One of the few defenses that can play with the Bucs. Don't get mad at me. Look at the history. Look at the game Sunday. No matter how you feel about the Saints or Jameis Winston, the Saints will always be a problem to the Bucs for until the Bucs because for me to say the Saints not a problem, that's a lie. Yes, we want the game, but that's not gonna have me saying the Saints ain't a problem. I know they're a problem. I'm glad we beat them. But I know from a football perspective, they still a problem. And it's still not a rivalry. Even Todd Bowles said this. You got to start winning games before it becomes a rivalry. The gap is too big. The Saints is not our rival. The Saints don't look at us as a rival. Rivals are Bears and Packers, Bears and Lions, Packers and Lions, Steelers, Ravens, Seattle, San Francisco. Saints, Falcons. If you had to look at it, our rival is the Panthers. Cowboys, Giants, Cowboys, Eagles, Cowboys, Redskins. Those are rivals because they have a deep-rooted history and it goes back for years. The Saints are not our rival. And I say that to say respectfully. I'm not trying to be like, no. It's the truth. As fans, we can't force a rival. A rival has to be a natural thing between two teams. Now, the way things are going, it can be like that moving forward. But if the NFL was to stop today and I had to look at it for my football history, that's not a rival. So as a Bucs fan base, please understand we got a long way to go. This was a great start moving forward. Now we'll come back to this a couple years from now. Starting 2022, 5 to 10 years from now, let's see how it looks. can we put together multiple wins? Can we win it? Can we sweep the Saints, right? That if we get the Saints, if we sweep them, it don't make it a rival. But it's starting to get there. From 2022 moving forward, can the Bucs win the series? I'm going to be tracking this too for the next several years. Two. So 8 years from now, that's 16 games. If it's 8-8, that's a rival. 8-7-1, 9-7, that's a rival. The next 8 years. Let's count it, folks. Because if you say it's a rival, now, how? And to be honest with you, the Saints fans don't really give, even at the game. I was at the game. They weren't paying us no mind, really. They was into their team, but they really wasn't talking noise to me. They weren't trying to fight me. But if I was an Atlanta fan, oh, they would have been on me hard. They would have been trying to fight me. Because it's deep rooted. Because there's a lot of people from New Orleans live in Atlanta. Not a lot of people live in Tampa. Not a lot of people from Tampa live in New Orleans. I'm literally at the game. They can care less about the Bucs. They don't. I'm at the game. I'm talking my little noise, but they weren't paying us no mind. A little Bucs fan here, a little Bucs fan there, a little group there, a little group there. Wasn't a lot of us out there. In order for a rival to be created, the fans from both teams need to it needs to be kind of equal. Now the Bucs are on the right track to make this a rival because of the chirping, right? We get it. But now the Bucs, they got some ground to make up, but they on the right track. Now, every game that they play the Saints moving forward got to be like this. It's got to be this type of energy. This type of energy moving forward. Even after life after Brady, it has to have this same type of energy. Now, I don't know who the quarterback going to be next year, but the game's got to be tight. Can't be 38-3 and 9-0. Let's get some 20 to 10s, 27-10 games for us, right? On our side, we be the victor. Now, like I said, tomorrow will be the last day I talk about this game. Will I reference the game? Sure. But as far as having this conversation, tomorrow is it. Because we got to get ready for Green Bay. And I actually watched them play the Bears. I think we can beat them. Well, I got us beating them anyway, but I'm just saying for my schedule prediction. But you can't sleep on no team. Can't sleep on no team. So the Bucs, they got to be prepared. Home game, 3 straight home games. And the Atlanta Falcons game, the Falcons played the Saints tough, and they played the Rams tough. The Rams beat the Falcons 31-27. So that Falcons game, not saying they're going to beat us, but I'm just saying, might be a little competitive. More than y'all think it might be. 2 weeks in a row, the Falcons have put up a tough fight to only lose by less than 4 points. This is why NFL, even the worst team in the NFL can have a great day and beat your favorite team. So as a fan base, emotions is running high. Get it out your system today and tomorrow. After tomorrow, on to Green Bay. Now, whatever personal feelings you have about this game towards the Saints or towards Jameis Winston, that's on you. But after tomorrow, I'm moving forward to the Packers. And then after that, we got the Chiefs. So I don't have time to be, crying and referencing an emotional toll on a former Buck player or keep talking about the Saints. We got 15 other games to worry about. Now, if you want to carry the Saints along with your conversations and you want to carry Jameis Winston on with your conversations, it ain't going to happen here. I'm thinking about the Packers right now, pretty much, the Chiefs after that, and then the scrappy Falcons team. Then also we got, the Rams coming up down the road and the Ravens and the Steelers. We got other games to be worried about. So I'm going to say this. Your emotions are running high right now, and we are happy as a fan base, but let's get down to business. We are on a mission as a fan base. We are on the same ship, whether you like me or not. We are on the same ship. I'm just trying to get y'all head straight because I know y'all happy, y'all hyped up right now. Emotions running high. Even on the football team, they hyped up, but the Bucs got to get ready for the Packers, just like the fan base got to get ready. So get all it out, get it all out right now. Get it all out today and tomorrow. Because when that all 22 is done, on to the Packers. Cheeseheads. And if you bring up the Saints again, I'm going to be like, okay. And no disrespect. I'm going to be like, all right, cool. If you bring up Jameis Winston, all right, next. Because that's not my concern. Because I'm concerned about the Bucs. When we play the Saints the second time, all right, let's talk. Now, if you want to keep track of what they're doing all the way up until we play them again, fine. Go ahead and do that. That's just football. Because technically, when the game is over with, you should be worrying about the next team. The only reason why I'm not doing the all 22 now is because it's not available. If it was available, I would have did the all 22. Toss that to the side. I watched the Packers game already. I watched the Packers and Bears game already. I went back and watched their week 1 game too. I'm already doing research on their games already. On what they like to do with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon on the field at the same time. I'm already looking at that on what type. They like to run the ball out of that formation. I'm already moving on to the Packers. I'm just doing all 22 to show y'all some breakdown. So this is what I do. I'm out here in the field. 2 straight games, I'm in the field. I don't talk. I don't keyboard. I don't do a lot of that. I actually go to the games. Now I got all 22 on my side. I'm actually watching tape on a few teams that we're going to be playing. So I'm already doing that. I'm in the field. I don't talk. I don't do the Twitter thing. I don't do the keyboard thing a lot. That's how I roll. I'm just saying, baby. And oh, by the way, the Cowboys beat the Bengals. What a shocker. The Bengals O-line don't look so great. Joe Burrow is the most sacked quarterback in the NFL. 13 sacks. See the stuff I research it. I'm actually looking at this stuff. We play the Bengals. And guess who's number 2? Jameis Winston. 10 sacks. The second most sacked quarterback in the NFL is Jameis Winston. Both of those teams got O-line problems. And surprisingly, the Bengals upgraded their O-line. Alex Capper over there. Anthony Collins over there. They got Jonah Williams over. You thought that would be a strength of the Packers. I mean, of the Bengals. Apparently, it's not. And yes, both are leading in intercept. Well, I think it's tied. Joe Burrow, top 5 in interceptions. Jameis Winston with 3. So that's what, tied for top 5 or top 10? Most sacked quarterbacks, and both of them in the top 10 in interceptions. When you chuck the ball around like that, And the Bengals like to chuck the ball around. Sorry for switching gears, but the Bengals like to chuck the ball around. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins keep throwing the ball around. You get your quarterback hurt. You get your quarterback hurt chucking the ball around. Don't be surprised Joe Burrow get injured. Winston got 4 fractures in his back. The dude played with 4 fractures in his back. Look at the Chargers. Justin Herbert fractured. He got something going on his ribs or something like his sternum. Getting hit. Protect your quarterback at all costs. Run the ball. That's what the Bucs are doing. And oh, by the way, Aaron Rodgers is also top 5 in being sacked. Yeah. Run the ball. All the teams that got quarterbacks, the Rams, Matthew Stafford is 5th most sacked quarterback in the NFL. And he's throwing a lot of interceptions. I think he's number 1. Protect your quarterback. If you don't run the ball and you want to chuck the ball around 40 times a game, this is the results. Rams, Saints, Bengals, Packers. Run the ball. Run the ball. You think Tom Brady is top 10 in being sacked? No. You want to know why? He got sacked by Micah Parsons twice, and he got sacked 1 time yesterday. 3 sacks. And that has a lot to do with the scheme that the Bucs are running now, which is very simplistic. Run the ball. Even if it's not working, protect your quarterback. The running game only had 72 yards. 72. 30 carries. That's putrid, but it worked. That's the point of running the ball. You keep the defense honest. Bengals, Saints, Packers, Rams are not doing that. That's why the quarterback's being sacked a lot. And some of y'all complain, oh, the running game was hard. Yeah, the running game was bad, but it worked. That's the purpose of a running game, to protect your quarterback. Run the ball, even if things are not going well. Stay at it, because at some point, the more you run the ball, the better you can get. The better your chemistry will get, because those runs will come. The big runs will come. Oh, Fournette going to break a couple this season. He going to break a couple runs. Patience, folks. All the work the Bucs putting in right now running the ball, it's going to work week 9, week 10, week 12, when we play the Saints again. Because then by that time, the passing game would have caught up. Put in the work now, early, get all the kinks out the way. Middle of the season, back into the season, it works. Don't be surprised we see the same game plan. And I'm not going to be mad at it. Bucs going to turn around and hand the ball. And the Packers had a problem stopping the Bears' run game. Now, granted, the Bears have a college gimmicky style offense. What did I tell y'all? Falcons, Bears, well, it used to be the 49ers, but the Eagles, the Ravens, they run these gimmicky style offenses, running attacks. So it's hard to defend. So the Packers played the Bears. Justin Fields, they had to account for him. They don't have to account for Tom Brady. Preston Smith don't have to set the edge. Rashad Gary, I ain't finna get into that yet. I'm already doing my research. So anyway, as I wrap this video up, going back to the Bucs and Saints game, it was ugly on both sides. The referees, look, I know the teams was bad for the most part, but the referees was worse. The NFL as a whole, they got to do something about these referees, man. They really do. Because yesterday's game between the Bucs and Saints, and I haven't said this, I don't think I ever said this on the channel, but that was some of the worst officiating I ever seen in a long time. It's not even about the Bucs and Saints in particular, because like I said, the Bucs is my team, and the Saints is, a team that's in our division. It's not even about the teams. It's just about the referees in that game were bad for both sides, because the argument could be made on both sides. Bucs fans saying, "Oh, that was a bad call for us." The Saints fans are saying, "Oh, that was a BS call." So there's arguments on both sides, and it's legit arguments too. And I'm not even taking sides. That's just legit arguments, like that was a BS flag. BS flags on both sides. The Bucs got some egregious call. Like how you gonna call that on Levante David and Ken O'Neal? Like why is that a personal foul? And I can understand the Saints fans' arguments on some of those calls. I can understand why they will argue Lattimore should have been ejected, or why Fournette wasn't ejected. I can see why they make that argument. I can see why they mad at the personal foul on Bradley Roby when you slow it down, you didn't really hit him. But there's a flag on him. So I understand the arguments, or the holding call on Cam Jordan, or the call that with Carlton Davis grabbing Olave's arm and kind of turning him a little bit. And they did get Carlton Davis on the flag later on. So I can understand the arguments on both sides. Or the Scotty Miller Lattimore call. They didn't call that pass interference, which led to the whole brawl. So I understand the arguments on both fan bases. There is no bias here. This is football talk. Those referees were bad. And I told y'all this before the game. In my preview, I told y'all about this referee crew. When are the referees going to be held accountable? When they going to start being fined and suspended for egregious calls or asinine calls? Because all those calls they did make and didn't make had an effect on the outcome of the game, regardless who won. Like, yeah, we won the game, but that's not the point I'm making. It had an effect on the outcome of the game. That's like NBA. When the game get tight, 3-on-3 tournaments, 5-on-5 tournaments, AU. When the game get tight, you got to get out the way. You got to let the players play. You got to let the players play. We see it in the NBA. Referees get in the way. Too many whistles, slowing the game down. You in the way. We see it all the time in those NBA games, playoffs, big games, regular season games. College football, the refs just want to be seen. They want to be, well, we here too. We don't care about the refs. Just do your job. Do your jobs. Black and white stripes, zebras. Get out the way. You are affecting the outcome of really good games. And it's always the really good games. Have you noticed that? It's always the really good games the referees want to get in the way and be seen. They want to be talked about. Yesterday's game was a prime example. It was awful. From a football fan perspective, it was awful how they let that game get out of hand. Those calls they were making, it played a role into the whole brawl too. It's not just because of the players. The referees played a role in the brawl. Missing calls. Had Brady arguing, throwing tablets. Because if the referees make that call, the brawl don't happen. By the referees not making that pass interference call, emotions flared. Frustrations flared. Grown men playing their hearts out and you missing calls? That makes the emotions get much worse. So anyway, as I wrap this video up, I just want to kind of give you like another recap of the game from objectivity. I'm not emotional about the game. I just want to see good football because I love football. SEC tough. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me, Saints fans. Don't get mad. It's not my fault that y'all lost. Play better. We got y'all this time. We'll see y'all again in Tampa. I might be at the game. And oh, by the way, I looked at the schedule. This is for Chris Shumpert. I got your number, but I will not be I won't be able to make it to the Chiefs game. I'll be out of town. Sorry. So, and that game is Sunday, October 2nd, and I won't be able to make that game. Oh, yeah, I saw the video with Chris Godwin. Yeah, that was interesting. I saw it was on an airplane, and Leonard Fournette was eating the dub, right? You know, just being funny, whatever. That's cool. And Devin White was saying something about Winston, about something about 2019. Now we in 2022, and Devin White referenced 2019, and then Chris Godwin for interesting. Chris Godwin. Now here's the thing about NFL. No matter what level of football you playing, flag, semi-pro, whatever, AAU, a lot of guys know each other. A lot of guys know each other. A lot of guys got personal friendships. Like off season, they talk, whatever the case may be. Even though they play for other teams, guys are still friends that play NFL football. Even college, they went to high school together, or they go back into a mini camp. I mean, all-season programs, or they came in a draft together, or somebody they know somebody they cool with, or they married to somebody in their family. So apparently, Chris Godwin and Jameis Winston are really good friends. And the irony is, Chris Godwin is the one that came out to defend the 30 interceptions of Winston. And we know Chris Godwin's a good dude. Nothing bad you can say about Chris Godwin. Nothing. He has had no fights on the field, no emotional outbreaks like Mike Evans, and none of that extra stuff. Chris Godwin is a legit solid dude. Chris Godwin came out and said, man, why'd you say that about Winston? And Devin White kind of bucked and was like, what you mean? Don't say nothing crazy. And Godwin was like, man, I'm just saying, dog. Like, Chris Godwin was trying to understand, like, why are you taking shots? Like, I understand what Chris Godwin was saying because Chris Godwin is friends with Jameis Winston. And what's so funny, and for you Bucs fans taking shots at Chris Godwin, shame on you. Shame on you Bucs fans taking shots at Chris Godwin for kind of standing up for Jameis Winston. Now you jumping on Chris Godwin now? Really? This is why I was telling some of y'all, it's bigger than football when it comes to Winston. Some of the stuff is, I'm not going to go into details, but some of the stuff is a little bit too extra. I'm gonna just use that. I'm just gonna say a little bit too extra. I'm not even gonna go into the breakdown of what little too extra means, but some of this stuff is, some of these fans is taking things outside of football. Like, I hope your family, type stuff. Like, I hope you'll keep that type of stuff. You got to be able to separate football from emotions, because if you can't do that, that says a lot about your character. So for you Bucs fans that's taking shots at Chris Godwin, that says a lot about your character and how you view things in life. I don't rock with you. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. If that's how you roll, don't know how to separate football from emotions, and now you're taking personal shots and trying to attack other people's families and wish them bad and worse in their life. We all human beings. We are all human beings. At the end of the day, we're human. And I have no sympathy and no respect for Bucs fans taking shots at Chris Godwin, because Chris Godwin considers Jameis Winston a friend, a real friend. Because now that he's friends with Jameis Winston, who you personally hate, not football hate, personally hate, now you're taking shots at Chris Godwin. Chris the God? Really? Really? Go read the comments. People taking shots at Chris Godwin. Wow. Come on, Bucs fans. Do better. Stay classy, Bucs fans. Stay classy. Stay classy, for real. That was just, I could not believe that was taking shots at Chris Godwin. Chris the God? That's fake. Fake fans. You want to come at Chris Godwin, then you want to cheer for him. That's two-faced. I don't deal with two-faced Bucs fans. Be who you are, and I respect you more like that. But what you ain't finna do is do that wishy-washy stuff. Almost had me cussing on him. Because I'm all about integrity and respect. Regardless of how you feel about me, but you're going to respect me. And if you don't respect me, then we got a problem. It's called learning how to grow up, and we still got grown men and women out here still being childish in our fan base. This is why our fan base is at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to other fan bases. Stay classy, Bucs. Stay classy, Pirates and Sea Bandits. If you want to be a top tier fan base, this is not how you act towards your own player. Wow. I'm disappointed on that one. Yikes. And if you mad at Chris Godwin, or you trying to take shots, or you trying to minimize how Chris Godwin was approaching the situation, it's bigger than what you think it is. Y'all think the only guys that the players talk to is guys on their team. Guys got friends around the NFL. Do you understand how that works? There are friends. People got friends on other teams they went to college with or high school with, elementary, AAU, all-season camps. Families know each other. If you don't understand how relationships work, then I don't want to rock with you. I don't want no relationship with you if people are cool. If you are cool with if you don't like how Chris Godwin handled that, I don't want to rock with you. I don't want nothing to do with you. Because relationships matter, especially at that level. Do you know the percentages of men that play football? Less than 1%. So football is like a fraternity. Football is like a fraternity. It's tight. Don't get me wrong. There's some players that'll never like each other. Evans, Lattimore, right? They'll never like each other. But those are grown men out there, and they have relationships. Every player in the NFL knows somebody on another team or they real cool with. You see it at college football. These guys play high school football against each other. That's right. You seen Levante David on Big Trust Levels, Mark Ingram, and Cam Jordan's podcast last week. Bucs and Saints on a podcast together. Big Trust or Trust Levels, whatever you want to call it. They cool outside of football, folks. I'm going to end it right there. I'm just saying. Relationships matter. Anyway. Right, Marcus May and Tyrann Mathieu. LSU, Florida. But guess what? They cool. They on the same. Bro, I can do this all day. But anyway, shout out to all the Pirates Steve fans. I enjoyed this 1 hour recap of the Bucs game. I talked about most of the game from an overall perspective. The Bucs are 2-0. The next video that you will see, it will be all 22. So with that being said, I want y'all to fire those cannons, seize the day, raise the flag. Hashtag no risky, no biscuit. Hashtag facts or feelings. Hashtag box away. Hashtag stay humble. Hashtag trenches matter. Hashtag what does your eyes tell you? Hashtag probability versus possibility. Hashtag don't get mad at me. I think I might add a new one. Hashtag stay classy, temporary. Hashtag Super Bowl the bus. Buckles Locker is out. I'll see y'all tomorrow with the breakdown. You don't want to miss that. Peace out.